Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Debbie Happy Cohen, founder of Joy Based Living, and this is Meaningful Conversations 101. Meaningful conversations encourage us to be true to our hearts and souls with self-care, lush rest, and inspired action. This week's topic is soul spaces. Soul spaces to remind you to tune in to your heart and soul. You can create them anywhere. Hi, Ellen. You can create soul spaces anywhere. And I'm going to be showing off a whole bunch of examples to you today. I'm so excited about this, but let me finish my intro here. For those of you who are attending live, please write your comments and questions in the chat area. Remember that this is a public forum, so please don't share your innermost private thoughts here. If you're looking for a deeper dive conversation and you're part of our Meetup community, message me and we can schedule a time to talk. And now let's get started. So what is soul space and how is it different than a positive space or a nice space in your house? Like, for example, I have clothing that says life is good. It's positive, right? You might have something in your house that has like, a biblical saying or something like that, or something that lifts you. That could be a soul space, but I want to make a clear distinction between a soul space and other spaces in your world, because soul spaces are food. They are food for your soul. Soul spaces remind you to tune into your heart and soul. Soul spaces are like brain conditioning and body conditioning for the inside of your body. Soul spaces feel like a ritual rather than a routine. That's the most important part of it. We're gonna go over that so many times, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm a life coach. A life coach, ideally, is a soul space for others. So I'm going to say the definition again. Soul spaces remind you to tune into your heart and soul, so you can have a community like a soul tribe. That is a soul space. Okay, so I'm like so excited. I gotta like calm down. What I do with myself and with other people that I'm working with, I'm always on the leading edge of a new thought. I'm always like, okay, I want more of this thing in my life. I want more of this practice in my life. I want more of this experience in my life. Let me remind myself. And I will, instead of just writing something on a piece of paper or on a note card, that doesn't feel so important. I might put it on a building block. So we're going to talk about building blocks. This whole area around me is a soul space. So this building block says generous, inspired action. That's different than take action, just do it. No, I want generous, inspired action with a lot of hearts around it. And on the back of it, it says, I deserve to feel amazing. So it's like a sales pitch for my soul. I deserve to feel amazing. Oh yeah, when I take generous, inspired action, that's the key. That's the key for me to feel. That's one of the ways that I get to feel amazing. So what kind of support do I need in order to take the most generous, inspired action? What kinds of boundaries do I need in order to take the most generous, inspired action? And so the block becomes like, the building block becomes a focal point for me to rehearse and remember what it is I'm trying to do next, how I'm trying to stretch my inner muscles to be more soulful and more joyful on the inside. So that's an example. I'll give you another example of a block. And this one was, I was working with a client, work less, make more, and play more, work less. Okay, so this is a tree. She likes doing art. So and one of her superheroes is Elle Woods. So she likes doing art. So she brought over a wood burning tool. And every time she set a boundary with someone who was trying to take advantage of her time, her energy, her attention, or trying to take advantage of her generosity, when she set a boundary, because she wasn't good at that for a while, or even when she set a boundary with herself, I'm not going to just work all day. I'm going to I'm going to stop at, 5 o'clock. I'm not going to set any appointments after 5 o'clock on Saturday, for example. So she's a realtor, so that's why that would be the case. And so every time she did that, every time she set a boundary about something negative, she got to make a few marks on her tree for setting boundaries for negative things. But then we also had to reinforce her actually taking action and doing positive things. And every time she would do something positive, like she would go on a date with her husband, or she would do a piece of art, which was really hard for her to do because she was just so busy all the time. So just getting off of the train of just working all the time and doing a piece of art. So every time she told me just the littlest thing that she would do, if she went out to lunch with a friend, which would be like a miracle. These are important things for the soul. This is how people lose their lives. They get sucked into the daily routines of things, and they forget their own heart and soul. They literally abandon their own heart and soul. And so every time she didn't abandon, and she did something that required her to be present to herself, she got to put some leaves on the tree. And she used to get so impatient. She's like, can't I put a leaf for this and that? I was like, no, you were setting a boundary for the negative, because she got really good at setting boundaries for the negative. Like when somebody would do something, that she needed to say, no, I can't do that. That was a very big deal for her. I'm like, no, you can't just have roots. You need to have leaves and flowers too. And so Elle Woods is like a superhero for her. I was like, what would Elle do? Okay, so this block, I think you could even feel like this is a soul space, right? So we're honoring her soul. And here, she's somebody I've worked with for a while. So we go out for a very fancy dinner every year to mark our work anniversary. And so the quote for the year, I think it was last year, was 21, 6/24/21, was work less, make more, and play more, work less. And she's actually been doing that over the years. And so she has to keep believing that that's possible. And this was their paper dessert menu. So I wrote on the dessert menu. So, okay, so that's a soul space. One of the ways I started soul spaces was because when we were in the middle of the pandemic and everybody was in lockdown and the days started blending into each other, I didn't have a problem with being in my house a lot because I'm an introvert. I listened to more books and music and did more creative activities. And I was like, it's about time y'all got quiet. I wasn't happy for people who were miserable, don't get me wrong. But when the days started turning into like one day after another, and I couldn't tell the difference between a Monday and a Saturday, because most of my clients know the difference. And so that's how I know the difference, because it matters to them because they're working. So I have to work around their schedules for when I work with them. So I created something called a Cali calendar that would make me feel excited to get up in the morning to know what day it was. And this is an example of my Cali calendar, and it has things in front of it so I can only see the month like that. And so some of the months don't even have like a month on it. It just says, because I was going to write them and I never did. So like now we're in August. So June, July, August. So August 24th, and it's Wednesday. And it says, where faith goes, energy flows. And so then I made a bunch of Cali calendars because it was so fun to do that. So this is just in my house, what I've shown you so far. So now I'm going to show you. One of my friends is a teacher, and we made this piece of paper as art for the kids to put in a classroom for their 4th grade classroom. So you can see that it could be you can do this anywhere for real. So I've talked to you about the cow before. I always pick his nose here. Feed the cow, and the cow represents your container of worthiness. And the children were asked to make a commitment and feed the cow with statements of honor, which look like little green pieces of grass that they would write on. And they would say, Susan, I think that you are, so kind, or whatever. And then the cows would get fed by each other. But what's important here that I want to read to you is we have 2 different kinds of contracts with the kids. One is for little kids and one is for bigger kids. And I'm going to read them to you because this thing turned this part of the classroom into a soul space. So for the younger children, it says, I promise to help make this the best year ever for our classroom. I promise to be the best connection superhero I can be. I will be kind to myself and others. And then they have to sign their name. Like, isn't that cute? Connection superhero. And then for the older children, like, let yourself feel this in your heart. I promise to help make this year the best year ever for our class. I will learn how to be a connection superhero. I commit to feed the cow, the container of worthiness, in myself and others. I will do this by learning to talk to myself and others in ways that are healthy and supportive and kind. And so, my friend said the kids loved this, but this isn't true just for kids. This is true for adults. I give adults on a regular basis, especially the ones who are like sitting right in front of me, but I actually have sent these in the mail to people. I'm going to show you gold stars for, just showing progress. What does that have to do with the soul space? I don't know, but it does. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So another way I have used blocks, and I'm giving you these as ideas. So it's one thing to have a block. It's another thing to put a block in a nest. Now, whenever you start getting the body involved with textures and things that speak in ways that are beyond logic, you're going to the unconscious, you're going to the soul. And so this says all things are possible with love, right? So that becomes, and if you pick it up every day and you hold it, let's say you're going through a transition in your life and you're like, man, it's really hard out there. I'm really struggling with this or that. And you hold it. When you hold it, it becomes more soulful than when you just say it. All things are possible with love. All things are possible with love. And so now you're actually becoming, okay, I'm going to give you more. Oh, I think you're going to like this. You're becoming more of the authority in your life, and authority means you have more power. And so I have a costume, and I'm wearing part of it today because it feels like a soul space to me. And it's a fuchsia cape, and I have a sequin collar that's white with pink in the middle, kind of like a priest collar, except it's sequins with fuchsia, and crown. So it's cape, collar, crown. And so I think about the work that I do includes some kind of counseling, some kind of coaching, and some kind of clergy. And all of those represent authority. So I'm not a counselor. I am a coach. I'm a life coach, which means if somebody's like emotional pain is too deep, I have to send them off to somebody who can help them, who is a counselor. But in the realm of coaching people, a lot of people just need help. I'll show you the difference. So counseling helps people get out of pain. Coaching helps people move into joy. Now, when people are in pain, their pains are similar. You're helping them out of a similar space, and you're helping them to come to peace with some of the negative feelings. But when people are going from contentment and acceptance into joy, for every single person, joy is different. So if I'm working with someone who's into baseball, I can work with them to some degree, but then they need a baseball coach because I'm not a baseball coach, right? If somebody wants to do I worked with somebody who was in the finance industry, and I helped him get organized, and I helped him get his mind in a better place. And then I said, you really need to get coaching from someone in the financial industry. He did investments and things like that. I don't know a lot about that. So, okay, soul space. Oh, I was going to show you my friend Ellen's soul space on the side of her refrigerator. This is her soul space. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that are on it, because this is something that she uses on a regular basis on her refrigerator. So this is for repetition in a way that feels like a ritual, not just a routine. So here is her version of the emotional ladder that her son colored in. He's like 9 years old. She has some sayings on there, like do things that make you happy, and let the stars align, and be gentle and patient, bearing with one another in love. So these are reminders. But then she also has here what we call We Are a Joy-Based Living Household, which you can find at the Joy-Based Living website. So joybasedliving.com, if you just scroll down, it'll be there. But if it's like in a future time that I've changed the website around, just look up We Are a Joy-Based Household. It's our manifesto. And so she has that right over here. Obviously mine is smaller. It's big on her fridge. And then she has something called, we use this all the time for helping deal with not just really, really bad trauma, but also the trauma of I've taken a risk and I'm scared because I just let myself tell the truth louder and it was really scary. And so Pete Walker, who wrote the book Complex PTSD, created, you can find it for free online. You just look up Pete Walker, 13 Steps for Managing Emotional Flashbacks. And like step number 1 is I'm having a flashback. Because why would you be scared of just speaking your truth out loud? Because you were taught to feel ashamed and you were taught to shrink and you were taught to hide. And I'm doing this without F-bombs. I think I need a gold star. This is like amazing. So anyway, so for the days where like things are sticky emotionally, she's got her 13 steps for managing emotional flashbacks right there. And she's got one more thing that I can't tell what it is right now. And then she has, this is something that she, like a blessing that she wrote for her children. And it says something like, your identity in my eyes is like you are the sun and the moon and the stars. And she's letting them know you are just everything. You are so beautiful. You're awesome. And then her assignment was to put a mirror right next to it and say it to herself as well. So can you see that how this is a soul space? So a soul space, I'm going to show you some more examples in just a moment. A soul space reminds you, okay, a friend of mine, this is a perfect segue. So I started a journal recently. So you know how we talk about feed the cow, feed your container of worthiness, right? So this is a challenge, actually. This is called my awesomeness journal. So this is somebody, Pamela said, I like the idea of putting the emotional chart on the fridge. Totally. You can put it on the fridge. You can put it in your wallet. I have seen people put it on their car, you know, in their visor, just kind of like stick it in the little clip that's there. So this, a long time ago, when people used to, I wrote a book called Reach Your Stars, and I did a lot of public speaking in the Tampa Bay area. And people would send me testimonials in my email. And I swear to you, it was like a hot potato. I would like barely read the email and then I would go to the next one because I couldn't take it in. It was really hard for me to take it in. I didn't know that I was dealing with complex PTSD at the time. I wish I had known. It would have saved me so much trouble. Oh my gosh. But why am I telling this? Because I heard a challenge recently that I really like, which is take the nice things that people say to you and put them in a notebook and read it every day and make yourself take it in deeper. Like, don't just be like having a tennis racket in your head and blocking or hitting it away. Or I used to call it like Teflon. Like I would give somebody a compliment and they would just change the subject. And I would feel like I was talking to Teflon. And that's really frustrating because when you put a compliment out there or you put love out there, you want to feel like it landed somewhere. And that's the whole point. That's how this relates to meaningful conversations. And so it's important to be surrounded by people who not only let what you're saying land, but two other things. If they don't let it land, they're willing to be playfully admonished, like, you didn't let that land just now. I just gave you a compliment. And so they're willing to correct themselves in a positive way. And they're also willing to be offer reciprocity. And so one of my friends said something to me the other day, and I'm going to read it to you because I figured that would be a nice way to share with you how this notebook is a soul space. And this was my friend Julie who said, thank you, Debbie, for reminding us, and you keep bringing us back to what really matters. You keep reminding us what really matters. And then she also said, you're the kookiest person I've ever met, which coming from her was a very huge compliment. So what are we doing in meaningful conversations is we are talking about what really matters. Do you want me to tell you why the chicks are on the cover? I will, but only if you tell me you want to hear it. So one of the other notebooks that I have, and I've shared this with you before, I actually had a whole series of these, but then I think I deleted some of them by accident at Crowdcast. I apologize for that, but there is one at the website. It's called joybasedliving.com/the planner. So in the planner, every single day you're asked the questions, what's most important to you? Like what do you need in order to thrive? What boundaries do you need to have in place? And I was talking to one of my friends the other day who lives in Vienna, And language has a lot to do with how we process information. So she lives in Vienna, which means she speaks German. And German is a more heady language. I think we could all agree with that, right? It's more heady. Where if you think about, like, I don't even know Hawaiian, but if you just imagine like a Hawaiian language, it would be more sensual, embodied, heartful. Italian has a more embodied sensation to it than German does. Well, this woman is she's a sound engineer, and I wanted to help her get out of her head. And so I suggested to her to get the planner, and then instead of writing in the planner with a regular pen, like with her adult self, I said, I want you to write the answers for every day in the planner with a crayon, and then the next time I talked to her, she said, I had the coolest vision. And then she went on to describe it, and she was like, and it was embodied and it was beautiful. And she said, then I actually witnessed myself shut it down by like minimizing it and making it less important. And she goes, but the planner, she goes, writing it, she goes, I dug in the bottom of my drawer to find my box of crayons, and I wrote in the planner with my crayons, and it just did something. And so I'm going to go back to the definition of soul space, and I'll keep showing you a few more things before we close. And if you have any questions, or if you really liked something, please tell me. I love seeing your things in the chat. And if you want to connect with me later, don't connect with me here. You can write comments here, but don't connect with me here because I won't get a notification. Connect with me at Meetup, or if you're connected with me on Facebook, connect with me there, because they don't show me notifications here after the chat is over. So soul spaces remind you to tune into your heart and soul. Can you see how these help you tune into your heart and soul, right? Now, foundation for these is, I'm going to show you another one too. Ha, 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 you are in for it today, everybody. Is the 12 practices. This is foundational because like practice number 2 is like embodiment. Practice number 3 is feed the cow. I might be saying them out of order. And so what happens is you do these 12 practices, you do them over and over and over and over. And then if you want to, you write to me and say, I finished the 12 practices, and I will send you a joy-based living magnet. So one of my friends was going to see her mom up in Memphis this week for her birthday. And I said, what should I send her for her birthday? And I don't know if you all remember, but I created a piece of art with my friend Christy that says, chuck it in the fuck it bucket. And she said, well, not that. She said, don't give my mom that. So she was kind of poking me to be funny. And I said, okay, well, what should I send her? I always like to send her something, when she goes up there. And she said, what about the emotional ladder? Her mom, when she was like 78 years old in Weight Watchers, was like, she actually did a training on self-esteem. And this is a woman who really needed self-esteem for herself. And so that was a really big deal. So I was like, okay, I'll give her the emotional ladder for her, for her to just play with every day and her to look at, because what you want to do is ask yourself all throughout the day, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? And I also put a magnet, a joy-based living magnet, in her birthday card. And then when my friend got to her mom's house a few hours later, she sent me a picture of her mom's fridge, and it has the joy-based living magnet on there. And so we have another joy-based living household. I mean, my crazy LOL dream, which is ha ha ha, really, is that every house in the world is a joy-based household. Ha ha. So funny, not funny. Here's another block I want to show you. We're coming close to the end. So questions, insights, thanks to me. You can post anything. I love seeing your comments. This one says, please take responsibility for the energy you bring into this space. And so I got this from one of the Oprah shows. There was a doctor who posted this after she got she had a stroke, and people were coming in, and there was all kinds of energy. And I love this one. And so this is part of what makes my home a soul space. I'll give you another story of one of the people that I love working with. I had to kick her out twice, and I mean that in a joking, friendly way. And I know that if she's listening to this, she'll probably giggle and chuckle and laugh. So one time she came to the door, because she's a local person, and And immediately she started treating me like I was a school teacher who was going to punish her. And she was like, I know I didn't do this and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. I was like, no, 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 it's all right. No, but. I was like, no, no, no. I was like, when we start sessions, you have to start by telling me what you did right. What did you do right? She's like, well, I was like, okay, I need to kick you out. And then you come back in and then start the conversation by telling me what you did right. And so she put her stuff down and then she started to talk to me. I said, no, no, for real. So she went out and then walked back in. So the reason I'm telling you that story is because I was training her to treat our conversations and my home, my studio, as a soul space. I was training her to show up more fully in her soul. And she said the other day, she was writing to me and she said, I know, I just have like so much going on. Here's my communication report. And I just don't even want to bother you with it because it's like blah, 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 blah. Well, I already had the blah, 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 blah because of somebody else. And I said, your blah, blah, blah is gold in my world. Your blah, blah, blah is gold in my world. And so you want your blah, blah, blah to be the information that you work with. You go, oh, that's what I'm thinking right now. Okay, I think I want an upgrade. So another upgrade that you can create a soulful notebook out of is, it says, what new beliefs will support me in becoming my next self? And then what you do is you can print it out. If you go to my Facebook page, you can find this somewhere because I post a lot there, but you can find this and then get it printed. And then on the steps, write down what beliefs you need next. Now, the other thing about a soul space that I wanted to acknowledge is that soul spaces usually, but not always, for me, are usually a combination of art and words, not just one or the other, because the words remind me of something that I want to believe or that I want to do. So for example, here's another one. This could be like a new belief. This one's in the negative, but it's a reminder. Stop compulsively resisting your joy. So the positive is be conscious, not compulsive. Be conscious, not compulsive. So that could be a saying that helps you to become more present to the moment. I think I want to show you one more, even though this one's a mess. It is one of my favorite soul spaces as a piece of art with writing, and it is the Joy-Based Living Trifecta Ship. And I'm using it as something to write on, and I'm creating it, like I keep doing different iterations of it. But this trifecta ship lives inside of me as a metaphor, and it lives inside of my Joy-Based Living members as a metaphor that, well, right now it says past, present, future in big writing, but what it says in small writing is self-connection on the first sail, spirituality on the second sail, and peak performance or authentic self-expression on the third sail. And then on the bottom, it's like embodiment and honor. Because what I have found is if I spend just even a little bit of time with any person and they're wanting to transform or improve their lives, I can tell them within minutes where they're weak and where they want to, like, maybe they, like somebody I was working with had like a cannonball hole in her spirituality thing. And then recently when she was grieving, she had been working all year to just, take more ownership of her spirituality. And there was like a lot of anger at God. And she was like kind of working with that. And then few people died in her life and she couldn't get over her grief. And it was taking her over. And she had enough sensibility to write on a piece of paper everything that she was feeling and thinking. And she came over and she's like, I'm just a mess. And I'm like, it's all right. So maybe we just grieve together, because I'm not one to tell anybody how long you need to grieve for, but I can help untangle some of the other stuff. And I said, I think you're mad that God took all these people away from you. And it was like, all of a sudden the weight started coming off of her. It just started coming off and coming off. And all of a sudden she could be with her grief in a way that was undiluted. And whenever you're with a feeling in a way that's undiluted, you're freeing it to flow more freely through you. When it's diluted, diluted isn't the right word in that case. When it's knotted up with all these other emotions, if you untangle the other emotions, then each one can fly away and flow more freely. So I guess I will end with this note. So remember how I told you, cape collar crown for owning one's authority and creating your own soul space. I have a logo and a name for that, for the part of myself that is the clergy. So here, if you look at this, you have like the counselor in you dealing with the past, the spiritual clergy in you dealing with the present, and the coach with the future. So with the clergy, this is actually the tallest sail, because you're dealing with how you see life and how you believe life sees you. I have a logo and a name, and my name is Reverend Sassy Shorts, and my logo is a flying turtle. See in here, it says Soul Spaces reminds you to tune into your heart and soul. And I'll read you the other side, because I know part of you is going to be like, what does the other side say? It says, brain and inner body conditioning that feels like a ritual rather than a routine. So more heartful, not just going about your day. It's a pause and a reflection with respect and honor for yourself. And it says a life coach ideally is a soul space for others, which I just made up just for this event with you. So that's kind of exciting. And now the question is, can I find my outro for you? I think I can. So it's time to come to a close. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time, energy, and attention. It's the acronym is TEA, time, energy, and attention. Those are your most precious, most valuable gifts. And for you to share them with me is truly, deeply an honor. Oh, Pamela said, collapsing is one way of describing the mixing of one idea or event with another. Oh, totally. Collapses all into another. For me, it feels like a knotted mess. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for attending Meaningful Conversations 101. For more information, please visit me at joybasedliving.com. Oh, and I want to give a shout out. I'm going to be doing next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, a 1-hour coaching session on like a Zoom call called, so we can be face-to-face, called Shazam. And if you're interested in more information about it, go to my Facebook page and you'll see it in my story or on my wall. It's called Shazam. Something about going from a hot mess to a hell yes. No, hot mess to a hot yes. That's what it is. It's going from a hot mess to a hot yes. And it's a micro coaching session with me, maximum 4 people. And I think right now it's $33 for 1 hour. That's crazy. So for more information on anything, visit me at joybasedliving.com. Shazam is not there. That's at my Facebook page. And remember, restfulness internally plus inspired activity externally creates magical results and joyful relationships. And that's my wish for you. Thank you so much for being here with me here today. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.